The Vision Pro has been out 1 year now, and I've used it every single day since it's come out. In this video, I'm going to give you my honest review, let you know how I've incorporated it into my daily life, what still needs work, and what Apple is doing wrong. I'm going to talk about productivity, entertainment, Mac Virtual Display, and the two biggest cons, which are price and comfort. So if you've seen a video about the Vision Pro that's older than 6 months, trust me, a lot has changed. And so with that being said, let's get started.
This intro intentionally left blank.
Okay, so the first thing I'm going to talk about is productivity and compare it to how it was in visionOS 1.0 to what it is now. So one of my biggest gripes with visionOS 1.0, as amazing as the eye tracking was and how revolutionary it was not that great at selecting small items, small characters, small bits of text, and even things like play, pause buttons to rewind and forward videos, things like that. That definitely needed a lot of work. So it was definitely a 1.0 product at that point. Yes, you could use it with a keyboard and mouse, and really that was the only way you could use it to be productive on it. When you had a keyboard and mouse, it was on a similar level to a MacBook, except for occasional buggy websites where you couldn't do certain things like upload, download files, fill out certain forms, things like that. But overall, it was fine, but I really didn't see the reason to use it for productivity. Actually, at the time, I did not recommend it unless you were doing just quick and easy things. And I actually put it on the same level as an iPad most of the time, or at its best, it was like using a MacBook. Okay, so now let's talk about what it's like now on visionOS 2.3. I have to say, it is now amazing for productivity. The eye tracking has gotten much better. You can actually get things done with no keyboard and mouse. The eye tracking is great now, so you can select small items, play, pause buttons, rewind, upload, download forms, any specific tiny little odd buttons that are too close together. You can pick those now. If they don't work on the very rare occasion, normally it just takes me kind of adjusting my Vision Pro and then it's great. But the biggest reason why productivity is now, in my opinion, better than working on a Mac is Mac Virtual Display. Ever since that came out, it was a total game changer. I now really never use it with a keyboard and mouse because Mac Virtual Display is so amazing in so many different ways. And you can't talk about productivity without mentioning Mac Virtual Display because I feel that is now the center, the core of being productive on your Vision Pro. So let's move on to Mac Virtual Display. Okay, so how was Mac Virtual Display in visionOS 1.0? To be honest with you, it was okay, but it was very inconsistent. I remember feeling like it was almost defeated the purpose of having a Vision Pro, just because sometimes it was very slow and laggy, and the text was not sharp, it was fuzzy, it was hard to read, and sometimes it would be like using a slow, low-resolution Mac, and sometimes it would be fine. But I personally didn't really use it because of the experience and it being completely different than it is now. Now, I would say it's easily one of the best features of the Vision Pro. When the new wide and ultra-wide displays came out and the audio pass-through, from that moment on, I've used it, I think, every single day. I really can't imagine myself working on the Vision Pro any other way, just because the displays went from being kind of soft and fuzzy and sometimes hard to read, to now being tack sharp, super sharp and crisp, very easy to use, very easy to read, and they seriously look and feel like you're working on real, physical, high quality monitors in front of you, except they're wide and ultra wide, which means that you can fit now 3 or 4 different windows that look great. There's obviously no more lag, and the audio pass-through is great because it just adds to the immersive experience of everything. So it went from being something that I never use to use every day, and something that I would easily call one of the best features and one of the killer features of the Vision Pro. Okay, so now let's talk about entertainment. This is going to be a short segment because honestly, not much has changed with entertainment. It was great from day one. It was one of the biggest selling points from day one. It's one of the things that even the naysayers have said is amazing, revolutionary, mind-blowing since day one, and it's not changed much in visionOS version 2.0, besides more content, concerts for one, things like that. Really, it's just as cool now as it is then. That's basically it. There's really no other way of describing being able to put on the Vision Pro, transport yourself to somewhere like Yosemite or White Sands, New Mexico, or Joshua Tree and watch a movie on a giant screen. Really, the movie watching experience is one of the best technological achievements that Apple has ever done. It's still one of the most mind-blowing, amazing experiences to be able to put on the Vision Pro and watch a movie, watch a show, or watch immersive content. So now let's move on to one of the things that you really can't avoid when talking about the Vision Pro, and it's two of the biggest cons, which is comfort and cost. So when I first got my Vision Pro, I wore it with the Solo Loop, and after the first 2 days, I thought it was terrible. It wasn't very comfortable at all. I switched to the Dual Loop, and after that, honestly, it was fine. I managed to wear it for, several hours a day without really any issues, until companies started reaching out to me, wanting me to try out their headsets. And now I am actually wearing the AnaPro version 1, and that one has been amazing. I've had no discomfort. I can wear my Vision Pro for, hours and hours on end. I wear it an average of probably 3 to 4 hours a day, but up to 6 hours a day. So with that being said, even though I personally only had comfort issues, really those first 2 days with the Solo Loop, there have been a lot of people out there who have complained about the comfort issue. Some maybe even returned it because of the comfort issues, and it is heavy for a VR AR headset. Now, if Apple wants to appeal to your average consumer, I definitely think they need to make this a lot lighter. So we all have heard the rumors that it is one of the top priorities for Apple. So hopefully in the near future, we'll at least get an announcement saying that it's lost a lot of weight so that your average consumer can wear it and you don't have to go out and buy all these third-party head straps just to make it a little bit more comfortable. We would all love a Vision Pro to be released that's comfortable from day one and no having to scour the internet for something that makes it a little bit more comfortable. I think it goes without saying that for the cost, that still is something a little bit ridiculous. I just happen to be one of the people who, I guess you could say, haven't really had any issues from day one. And not that most people find it uncomfortable, I would say. It's just that definitely a much higher percentage of people find it uncomfortable than they probably should, especially for it being an Apple product and especially for the cost. And speaking of the cost, let me answer the question, is it worth $3,500 1 year later? For me personally, I would say absolutely yes. When you think about everything you get for $3,500, to me, it's definitely worth it, especially if you use it every day and if you use it for productivity, for movies, and for all of its different uses. However, $3,500 is still $3,500, and it's definitely a luxury item that a lot of people don't need. It's definitely something that's nice to have, but it's not like your iPhone or a Mac where you need it for everyday use and you need it for your work, you need it to communicate. And the biggest thing that honestly, a lot of people have no idea what it's for. A lot of people have no idea how to use it. And, when I'm talking to people from time to time, you'd be surprised how many people are, their response to it are, what is that again? What does it do? What is it for? It's a 3D device. You can watch 3D movies. And to me, that really points to Apple's messaging, to where they're not communicating correctly, how it can actually enrich your life, how much it can bring to your life. If you go to the website, they have more information about the technology behind the Vision Pro and not what it can actually add to your life. And I think that's a huge problem with it, that it's very expensive, it's not comfortable, it has bad publicity, and most people have no idea what it's for. And to me, that's a big problem that Apple has. If they want it to go from being a early adopter product to something that's in every home and that a lot of people are wearing, then they definitely need to work on their messaging and making it appeal to just your average consumer. Now, I do think that if you gave your average person a Vision Pro for free, they would absolutely love it. I think they would use it a lot. I think the number one reason they would honestly use it right away would be watching movies, watching TV shows, things like that. They would eventually start using it for productivity, use Mac Virtual Display, and I think they would love it. But $3,500, the biggest con of all, it's just too expensive for your average person, especially when they don't know what to do with it. Obviously, it's not that it doesn't do much, because anyone who owns one knows that it's hard to describe what it is and what it does, because it does a lot of things. It actually reminds me of, you know, when Steve Jobs was announcing the iPhone and he said it was a phone, an internet communicator, and an iPod, the Vision Pro is similar in the sense of, I would say that the Vision Pro is a Mac, it's a movie theater, it's an internet communicator, and it's an AR VR device, and possibly in the near future, an AI computer or an AI assistant as well. It does a lot of things, which is part of the problem, and I think is part of the marketing and why it's so hard to tell people what it really does, but it really is all of those things. So it does a lot of things, which is part of the reason that it makes it so amazing. But again, coming back to it, the cost is the biggest obstacle that Apple has to get over. I think if Apple wants to sell the Vision Pro, they obviously need to lower the price, I would say to about $1,500, even if it's stripped down on things, because I think if you get it into people's hands, even stripped down, I think they will see how amazing it is. And then in future versions, they will be willing to pay more for those additional features, for higher quality displays or whatever those additional things might be. And it also needs to be lighter, obviously. All right, so if you've stuck around this long, thank you very much. If you're new here, like, subscribe below. And as far as my final thoughts on the Vision Pro, after having owned it for a year, I think you've guessed by now, I actually love owning mine. I'm glad I bought it. I would 100% do it again. The last thing I'll say is that when I first got the Vision Pro a year ago, I would say 3, even 6 months in, I would probably not recommend it to a lot of people. But at this point in visionOS 2.3, I think that the majority of people, if they owned one and the money wasn't an issue, then I think most people are actually going to love it how it is right now. And I think it's only going to get better from here. So I'm definitely looking forward to seeing what visionOS 3.0 brings out. I know Apple knows that it's too expensive and uncomfortable, so I'm curious to see what they do with the design and the price. And let me know your thoughts below. What do you think? Do you own a Vision Pro? Are you thinking of getting one? Any questions, comments, comment below, and I'll see y'all later.